let's talk about beginner sewing mistakes I made. Now, I've been sewing for over 6 years and I made quite a few mistakes when I first started. Some of them were funny, some of them were really frustrating, but they have made me into the sewist that I am today. So if you're new to sewing, hopefully you can avoid these mistakes and save yourself some time, fabric, and most importantly, money. Let's start with seam allowances. I did not understand them at all. I was always sewing close to the edge of the fabric, and of course my seams would just be coming undone. Seam allowances are there for a purpose. It gives your stitches something to hold on to. So make sure that when you are sewing something together, check your pattern for the correct seam allowance, because it definitely does make a difference, not only to the structure of your project but also to the size and or fit of your project. At number 2 is rushing. I was so excited that I could actually turn fabric into something that I was just rushing to always see a finished project. Did all of my projects turn out exactly how I wanted them to? Not really. Even when I made mistakes, I just didn't want to go back and fix them. I would just move on and hope for the best. I made so many projects in my first few months of sewing that I actually made 1 to 2 projects every single day. And this leads me to my next hurdle. For roughly over a year, I avoided adding any extras to my project. So it was things like pockets, because they just took too much pressing, too much time to transfer markings from the paper pattern pieces over to my fabric. Things like ruffles, because I needed to add extra stitches, spend some time pulling them all together and then adjusting them evenly to attach to another piece of fabric. Those would just take me too long, and I didn't want to take that extra time adding details to my project. I just wanted to get my project finished. In other words, I was just being very lazy. Once I got over this aspect of me being lazy and I really started to take my time adding all the extras, pockets, ruffles, pin tucks, bust starts, waist starts, that's when I started feeling like I was elevating my sewing game. I was actually learning more things with each project as I was going. Leaving the laziness behind and leaving all of the rush of just getting the projects finished actually taught me so much more, and I took my sewing skills to the next level. Now, no project for me is off the table. If there's extras to add, I will add them probably 99% of the time. So take the time to add some extras to your projects. It will definitely give you the confidence that you need in your sewing to up your game, and before you know it, no project will be off the table for you. This also ties in with my next mistake: pressing seams. It was another one of those things where I just didn't have the time or really the patience to want to press every seam as I went. Actually, I didn't even realize it made that much of a difference in my projects until I got called out for it. I posted a photo of myself in a top I'd recently finished, and I had asked for opinions on how I could make it look better for the next time. And one of the comments were, "Have you pressed your seams and your hems?" Now, this was a very simple comment, but it was one that has stuck with me ever since. So definitely press your seams as you go, because that is the difference between something that looks homemade and something that looks handmade. And that leads me to point number 5, buying too much. I went wild buying fabric and patterns just because I could. Up until I started making my own clothes, I never really thought about my personal style or the colors and prints that I'd gravitated towards. So I was literally just buying everything and anything. There are just so many gorgeous fabrics out there in terms of prints, in terms of color. There are so many sewing patterns out there, different styles, different techniques that you can use, and I was just so excited to get my hands on all of them, not even really thinking about would I actually wear it? I even remember going to a live Facebook event every Sunday for a few hours, and I bought so much fabric that if I take one piece of fabric and one sewing pattern from my stash, I would have enough to make a garment every day for the next 5 years. The downside now is most of the things I bought 5 or 6 years ago no longer fit my style or the way I want to dress. The other issue I have is I don't want to get rid of my things because I feel like they might come in handy a little down the line. And I guess I'm not the only one in this position, right? So my advice to you is be more intentional with your purchases. Ask yourself, do you really need this? Are you going to make it within the next few weeks, or are you just getting it because you are excited in the moment? So those were some of the biggest sewing mistakes I made as a beginner. But honestly, it's turned me into the sewist I am today. So if you are a beginner, do keep on trying, keep learning, have fun, and most importantly, subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments below what was the biggest mistakes you made as a beginner. That's it from me today. Bye for now.